All right there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 17 of The Hidden Window. Hope you all had a good few weeks. Took a little time off for summer, so we're back at it. Bob, hope things are going good for you down there in the bunker and you're hanging in there. So we're into a little deviation today from the norm. We're not going to go into the lighthearted news. Not because I can't find any. Well, there's part of that, true, but nonetheless, we're going to go into a topic that it's going to take a little more time. It's going to take a little time to unpack it. It's almost in two components. So we're going to get right at it. We're going to start off with Native American Indians. All of us have known the stories of the medicine men and the taboo. The Indians had areas that they did not traverse. They would not go into. A lot of their taboos revolved around mountains. They did not feel comfortable going into many mountain ranges. They said up in the mountains there were evil spirits. And these stories that were passed down from generation to generation, they weren't just told to keep the young ones excited around the campfire. This was a life lesson. This was a warning. This was a survival guide that they put out. You went to that area, you're done. There will be no trace of you. And guess what? They're right. It happens a lot. As a matter of fact, the Inuits have a term for it. They call it turned up missing. They teach generation after generation. This is the warning. You're told, do not go there. Now, we're going to get into missing cases that are right now going on worldwide. The numbers are staggering, okay? So the Indians knew that there was something there. And I'm going to give you, in a few minutes in the show, my warning guide to all of you that I read from some of the stories and I compiled. I saw a pattern, and I'm going to share that with you. But let's start off with missing persons. The numbers, like I say, are staggering. 8 million people go missing a year. 600,000 in the U.S. Now, we are the leading country in the entire world for missing people. 2,300 children go missing a day. Many of these cases, most of them, fortunately, are found. Everything's fine. But there's ones out there that are they're never found. As a matter of fact, 90,000 people last year are still reported missing. They're not found. There could be a lot of causes for those. A lot of cases we don't know, but I'm going to get into an area where there is a much, much higher prevalence of missing persons. As a matter of fact, the number one area for missing persons who were never found, these are never found now, in the United States is Grand Canyon National Park. There are over 1,000 cases of people missing who were just never found. Now, these cases of missing, they're just not someone goes out hiking. They obviously going to be some of that. Someone gets hiking, they fall into a ravine, break their leg, knocked unconscious, and that's going to happen. But the stories that I was reading into, I think it's the Missing 411 series. Was it David Paulides' book? I think he wrote 3 books. There are many books on the subject, many stories. I was reading into at least 30 of these stories. I kept reading on and on. These just didn't happen by happenstance. They all happened in a very strange way. Okay, these people are out with their family, maybe 3 or 4 kids, and they're watching their children. They're keeping an eye on them. They turn around in a second, and they're gone. Just gone. No trace, no sound, no scream, nothing. Now, these stories replicate themselves over and over and over again. And the things that come up the most is that they didn't wander off. People kept an eye on them. They just disappeared. There was a case of 4 hikers, again, out in the national park system, and they were making fun of this. They were scoffing at it. They said, you know what we'll do? Every 30 seconds or so, we'll look over our shoulder, see the guy behind us is still there. They did it almost as a joke. The third guy turned around, was talking to his friend, turned back around. A second later, he was gone. Just gone. Nowhere to be found. No scream, no yell, no struggle. They didn't see anything on the ground. There was nothing. They found 2 shoes and the coins from his pocket that were scattered about the ground. Nothing else. Nothing else from him was ever found. They believe that something snatched him and turned him upside down, and he was gone in a blink of an eye, just vanished. So a lot of these cases, it's the same. They're just never found again. Fortunately, some are. One case, a 4-year-old boy, was found, again, out with his parents. They were out picking berries. They turn around, he's gone. Just gone, vanished. Not a trace of him. Massive, massive search. And in these cases, almost all of them involved huge search and rescue missions. They're bringing dogs, everything. Couldn't find a scent, couldn't find anything with this 4-year-old boy. 2 days later, he's found in a very rugged, mountainous area, which even the best mountain climbers can't traverse. He was up on top of this thing, wearing shorts and bare feet. He was fine. But how did he get there? How is that even possible? A lot of these times, when they search these areas, they bring in search dogs. And many times, the dogs do not want to go there. They just urinate in the ground and they tremble. They're terrified. They don't want to enter these areas. And some of them do. Some of them search. The search and rescue teams go over. They comb this area back and forth where the last reported sighting. They find nothing. A couple days later, someone's found right in the middle of the area they searched. Again, not possible. But it's case after case after case. So it's just, it just can't be done. There's too many of them. There's too much prominence. Now, I read these stories. I read well over 30, and I found an absolute pattern. Now, the first one is a lot of these happen in our national park systems. Now, our national park systems, as you would imagine, a lot of them were once Native American ground. Well, they all were. And a lot of them that were go missing are up in the mountains. Remember, the Indians say, that's where the evil spirits live. Don't go in the mountains. So that's number one. The national park system has the highest prominence of missing cases in our country that go unexplained. It's in the national park system. That's one. They also happen around large outcroppings. A lot of times they were made of granite. Don't know what that means, but large outcroppings and boulders. The kids are out with their family, they go missing. A lot of times they're out picking berries. That happened in a large number of these cases. So you're out, you're picking berries, you buy a rock outcropping, and they're gone. The ones who were missing, interestingly enough, and they even stated it in a few cases, they were wearing bright clothing. In one case, they were trying to pull a prank on their parents, and one was wearing a bright red outfit. He said, you're going to stick it like a sore thumb. You just stay here, and we're going to jump after mom and dad because we're wearing green and camouflaged. Well, that child was never seen again. Just vanished, gone. Again, no scream, no signs of struggle. They're just gone. A lot of times they're also by cave systems. What you think, a cave system? Well, someone's going to wander in. They're deep. They could fall. Anything can happen. But again, they search these caves. There's nothing, no footprints going into them. There's nothing. But they happen around them. Okay? How do you explain it? How do you explain what's going on out there? Some of them survived. And I found that fascinating as well. The ones who came out of it reported before they were taken, and that's their word, before they were taken, a lot of them felt a tingling, their skin felt tingly, felt a humming in their ear. And that's almost all of them report the same instance. Now, you may scoff at that, but people don't laugh at people who survive lightning strikes. They report very similar findings. Right before the lightning strike, obviously it hasn't happened yet, they feel their hair standing up on end, their skin feels tingly, and they hear a humming sensation in their ear. Very similar happened. So if you're in a national park, this isn't anything to be taken lightly. These cases are happening. There are so many. Once you read them, some of you may never, it's like Josh, you're never going to the water again. You won't go to the national park again. But there's a lot of cases. And the park rangers, you would think, oh, Ranger Rick, he's helpful. No. They're almost belligerent to these people. They won't talk to them. They're almost angry about them. They know something's up, and they're told you're not to open your mouth, you're not to discuss this. So what could be going on? I mentioned how some of these people they were there 1 minute and gone the next. What I think could explain this is portals. Portals. Now people, portals, another dimension. He's going off the rails, isn't this time, isn't he? Well, portals have been discussed throughout history. There have been so many stories about people walking to a mist. It happened here. 2 geologists were out in the Alps, and these were very well-respected geologists. And they're in the Alps taking some samples, and they saw a mist in a ravine, and they didn't know what to make of it, but it's only in this one spot, in this one ravine. So they kind of peered their head in there, and they found some very unusual rocks, some glass objects, and one of them went further, and then instantaneously, he was gone. He found himself about 200 miles away in an area that he actually knew. So he knew it was about 200 miles away, saw that he was on this rather flat plain, turned around, saw the mist, and didn't like it. He went back in it, and he was right back where he was. And they looked at it, and the mist just dissipated, and it was gone. So do these portals exist? More than likely, yes. Our government is working on portals. There is projects that we are working on now. Teleportation. I know there's a Philadelphia experiment. A lot of well-written instances are out there where there is cases of teleportation. Now, some people say that Teddy Roosevelt was informed about these portals in our national parks. The Indians knew it. He was told by others that, yes, these things exist. We can't have our public going in there. So laugh at me as you will, but look up the Grand Canyon National Park. You cannot go into many areas. They are off limits. You can't go in there. You can't go anywhere near them. If you try, there's cameras or sensors. You're not going to penetrate them. Do they know something? If they're not telling us? Are they doing experiments there? Like I say, there's something about this. There's just too much evidence, too much data, and the only thing that makes sense is teleportation. We know it exists. There's a lot of things written about it. I think they exist in these national parks, and they existed there for centuries. So go there at your own risk. But remember, don't wear bright clothes, don't pick berries, and don't hang around outcroppings. All right? Little food for thought. Who knows? Maybe it'll help somebody out. Well, that'll be it for this segment. So hope you found that interesting, folks. All right. So I always do wrap up with something. Let's do something a little fun, light that happened to me 2 days ago. I'm going to Ireland, and actually tomorrow morning, going out golfing with a few guys from work, and interesting trip. So yeah, it's a little expensive. I thought trying to save some money, right? So golf clubs, we're not going to bring them too much. We're just going to rent them from the course, go up the course, and they want like 80 euros to rent these clubs. I'm like, that's a lot of money for golf clubs. Really? So I thought, hey, I can save some money. I'll go online and look up some places to rent clubs. And I see there's like 4 locations in Ireland that rents club. Different names. There's a bunch of them. I know all of you have experienced something similar to this. Have you ever flown these really cheap airlines where you're like, wait, $69 to fly from New York to LA? Round trip? Oh, that's phenomenal. And you look into the $69 package and it's like, oh, then there's this tax. I have to pay for the seat? What do you mean I got to pay for the seat? What am I sitting in the wing? Oh, well, you want a seat? It's going to cost you another $120. Oh, if you want this, it's another $120. It's like, really? By the time you add it all up, it's the same as the price of a ticket, right? So I'm calling up these places in Ireland. I thought I emailed. They weren't returning it. So I'm just going to call one of them up. I get a hold of one of the guys, and I said, listen, I'm trying to rent some clubs. Oh, Yank, you be wanting clubs now, will you? Oh, sure, we got plenty for you. All right, it says you got, about $40, huh? Well, now, let's be getting to that. What do you want to be playing? Well, I want golf clubs. So, well, I know now, Yank, but would you be wanting wedges now, will you? For those of you who don't golf, wedges are like an 8-iron, a 9, a sand wedge, a pitching wedge. It's part of the golf set. All right, you go golfing, that's part of the set. Well, no, not in Ireland. So I asked the guy, listen, of course I want wedges. Well, now, Yank, now to be talking, not to be more money. Would be wanting a bag now? What do you mean a bag? What am I going to carry the clubs? Tie a rope around them or something? Of course, I need a bag. Well, now, Yank, now to be talking more money now. So I know what it said. I said $40. Well, now let's look at what you want. You want the wedges now. You want to be wanting the bag. Oh, it'll be about €100. I'm like, well, €100? I can get it from the golf club for like $6. So, you know what? And I almost did it. I almost said, this guy was so amusing. and he just disarmed me when he was talking, I almost said, you know what? Heck with it. I'm going to do it. But then I came to my senses. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be conned by some leprechaun over there. So I said, nah, I'm not doing that. But I thought that was kind of funny. You get what you pay for. I guess that's the bottom line, right? Okay, everybody. Hope you had a good week out there. I will see you again soon. In another few weeks with an episode. Bob, keep your head down there in the bunker and be well. All right, buddy. Take care.